Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Omud Yoimi Shiur. We are following the Dirshu cycle. We are in Tzadi Aleph Omud Beis, but we are actually not. We're still Tzadi Aleph Omud Aleph towards the bottom of the page. That's where we are. This Shir Latzlochas, the whole of Klal Yisrael. No time to detail, but we all know that we all need Yeshuas. Bo min Rav Nachman, more about Eitzah on Shabbos. Very interesting question. Zorak kazais truma lebais tome. Yeah, we are about 6 or 7 lines from the bottom of the page. The third narrow line from the bottom of the narrow lines. Bo min Rav Nachman. Rav asks Rav Nachman. Zorak kazais truma lebais tome. Person threw, let's say, a piece of fruit or so, which is truma. Very interesting case. A kazais of truma was thrown. He threw it from Rishus Harabim to Rishus Yochid to a bais, and the bais is tome. The bais is tumas meis. Mau, what's halacha? Very interesting. Frag the Gemara. What are you talking about? Lemai. What do you mean? Well, what's the relevance here? Ilinian Shabbos. If your question is about Shabbos, okay, gogeres beinan. If it's Shabbos, we already know that kazais is less than gogeres. Taisa says we could have asked many other questions. Truma, tome. What are you talking about? But first of all, if your question is about Shabbos, let's leave everything else alone, yeah? But everything else to the side, Zais is less than Gogeres. But definitely, if I threw Zais from the Shus Rabim to Shus Yochid, then Patu, because Zais is less than the Shir. So leave everything else alone. What are you talking about? Ilinian Tuma. Now, if you're talking about Tuma, in other words, for Tuma, what is the minimum Shir of fruit to become Tome? Yeah, although that's the big machlokas, Rishonim and Achronim. I'm following one opinion here. Regarding Tuma, what's the shir for food to become Tome? Says the Gemara, Kabetza oichlin beinan. We need kabetza. Kabetza is more than kazais. Kabetza is 2 kazaisim. So if you're asking me, oh, there's Tuma, I threw Tuma to the house which is Tome, is it becoming Tome? I'll discuss more about what's becoming Tome. But for now, let's assume that to become tome, you need kabetza, not kazais. So a food, right, that becomes tome should be 2 kazaisim, not 1 kazais. If asking me about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, stam about tuma, that if the truma, yeah, was thrown into a bais tome, a bais full of tuma, a bais of tumas mace, where the entire air is full of tuma, like we learned before, then no, only kabetza becomes tome. It's not really true. It's a big machlokas Rishonim, because I'll tell you what it bothers me as I'm saying it, because I'm following now some Rishonim, but it's not so simple. Everybody knows that there is a concept of tuma kabetza. However, many people hold Rishonim Nachronim that to give tuma over to another thing, you need kabetza. To become tome is even mashahu. Now I'm following the opinion that says that even becoming tome is kabetza. So if you're telling me what happens if I throw a kazais to the house, which is tome, who cares? It's not kabetza. So the whole question doesn't make sense. Therefore, now we're going to come to the menucha v'nachla. Zog the Gemara. Lolim linian Shabbos. We're talking about throwing on Shabbos, right? Now, okay, going. What's the story? The ika pochas mikabetza oichlin. Let's say, to make it simple, listen to this. Indoors, in the house, sits on the table, nice, half a beitza, which is kazais, and is not affected by the tuma. I'm now throwing a good friend. Haha, Luz, I'm joining you. Look through the window. I'm throwing now another kazais. They're going to touch each other. They're going to become a unit of kabetza, and together, voila, they're going to become what? They'll become now beitza to receive tuma. So now, together, zais, which was already there, plus the 1 kazais, which I'm now throwing in, together they will join up, add up to become a beitza of food. They will now receive tuma and also definitely give tuma. That's the kula alma. It will give tuma to, let's say, drinks that's next to it. Now we created a nuclear bomb of tuma. Why truma? Why not chulin? Because the chulin doesn't make a difference. Chulin, meikadin, allowed to eat when it's tome. Only chaverim, the Haredi people, they don't eat tuma. But other than that, it's okay. Truma tmeya is a difference for a kohen. If a kohen eats truma tmeya, he's chayev malchus, he's chayev misa b'dei shamayim. Actually learned it this morning also, right? So therefore, so what? So are we only asking? So what does that have to do with Shabbos? We're learning here Tumah V'Taira. Now listen to the punchline. V'hai mashlim ol beitza. The fact that on Shabbos I threw a kazais, boom, and joined the other kazais, bam. Now we have a kabetza of tuma. My, what's the halacha? Why? Who cares? I thought for Shabbos she is grogeres. Zog the Gemore, mit dem mitzart linyan tuma, mechayev nami linyan Shabbos. That's a tzad. The question is like this. Maybe if it's choshuv for X, it's also choshuv for Y, which means since regarding tuma, I created halachic nafkamina for tuma. This is very choshuv because now by throwing the extra kazais, bam, now there's this electric circuit of tuma that was created. So maybe also for Shabbos and chayev. Since there's chashivas in the status for tuma, maybe that projects also for Shabbos. And now she says, unbelievable, the last line of Rashi, kehiri kegogeres. What's gogeres? Choshuv. Since it's choshuv for tuma, maybe for Shabbos too, I'm going to be chayev kores, chayev chatos. If it's choshev for one area of halacha, maybe that spreads over to other areas of halacha. For Shabbos also, or Dilmar maybe, kol inyan Shabbos, kidrogeros bayinan. Or maybe no, we don't care. Shabbos is Shabbos, and Tuma is Tuma. Shabbos, we need drogeros. Yekish, boom, straight-laced. Maybe for Shabbos, we need drogeros. Nothing else. I don't care that we came choshev for Tuma. For Shabbos, we need drogeros. And again, these are the two tzdodim. Is Tuma affecting Shabbos? The chashivas of Tuma reflects on Shabbos, and therefore Shabbos would be Osur and Chayev even less than Gogeres, even Zais, or not? That's a question. Omarle. So now we'll find the answer, hopefully. To Nisua, look, I have a brisa to support you, to bring a raya, to resolve your sofek. Abba Shol says, Shtei alechem v'lechem aponim. You have food in Beis Hamikdash that's eaten by people. Shtei alechem once a year, lechem aponim once a week. Shtei alechem is on Shavuos, two big square breads that would lift when they would bring the heilige korbanos of Shavuos, the shnei kvosim of Shavuos. The Kohanim would eat it all. Lechem aponim, we all know, once a week in the morning, Shabbos morning. Yeah, the old one is taken off, the new one's brought on the mizbeach. The Kohanim eat the whole thing. So it's heilige food, it's food from Beis Hamikdash. And let's say you took it out of Beis Hamikdash into Shazadin. You take it from Beis Hamikdash to the main street of the old city. Okay, interesting. Shiuran kegrogeres. How much you have grogeres? Like any other food. I don't care that it's holy. Yeah, you chayev mitzad Shabbos, and therefore grogeres. That's the good old shiur for food. Frag the Gemara, there's a catch over here. V'amai, why do you say it's grogeres? Let me suggest something else. Lema, let us say, the linyan yoytze bekazais, the linyan Shabbos nami bekazais. Aha. There's a concept called yoytze, which means, let's say somebody took out the whichever amount of lechem aponim to the anywhere outside Beis Hamikdash. Can the Kohanim now eat it even if it goes back to Beis Hamikdash? No. There's the rule, says Rashi brings down. The rule is kol shebekodesh posul ba kosav litin lo taseh. Any kind of kodesh item that became disqualified, tome, noisar, lan, and the big star yoitze. What's yoitze? You're not allowed to take out kochim outside Beis Hamikdash, right? And if you did what? Even if you brought it back to Beis Hamikdash, you're not allowed to eat it as a kohen. And if you do, lashes, you chayev malkos, and it's a lot taseh. And on how much am I chayev? If I ate a kazais. Wait a second. So if I took out the item, the food item, lechem aponim, a piece of lechem aponim I took from Rishus Ha, Beis Hamikdash Yochid, to Rishus Harabim, there is one other halachic nafkamina, that if I took out the kazais, and a coin would eat that kazais, the coin would chop 39 lashes. But if it's less than kazais, then he doesn't. So wait a second. And yet we said that the chiyuv for Shabbos is gogeres. So we see when you have Isser X and Isser Y, they don't relate. They don't correlate. Let's see it in the words of the Gemara. Yoitze bekazais, leinin Shabbos nami bekazais. Just like for Yoitze, the shear is less than gogeres, because if I took a kazais outside Beis Hamikdash and Mr. Cohen ate it, he's chayv on kazais. So there's a huge halachic nafkamina, 39 painful lashes isra d'oraisa. So why don't we say that for Shabbos, I'm also chayv bekazais, right? We don't. We say Shabbos is gogeres. So we see each one is different compartment. Here's your proof. We see that other areas in Aloha, either based on Mikdash or Turma, they don't affect Shabbos, each one to itself. So the Gemara, no, you can't prove it. Achi Ashta, what's Achi Ashta? Is that the same? Achi Ashta means when we break a comparison. You know that. Whenever we say Achi Ashta, it means we break a comparison, we differentiate. Hossam, over there, it's not happening in one go. The story based on Mikdash, chronologically speaking, timeline speaking, it's not happening together. Why? The second that this item, the food, now left the Choimas Azoro, once it left the territory of Beis Hamikdash, the walls of Beis Hamikdash called Chil or Chil, yeah, right away, it's Yoitze. I'm right now, even in Ezras Noshim, says Rashi. What's Beis Hamikdash? Rosh Hashanah. Very big place, but it's walled, so it's Rosh Hashanah. It has walls around it, right? So now Beis Hamikdash, there are a million people there. Rosh Hashanah. Walls, very nice. I don't have to leave the walls. Once I'm outside the Azoro of the Kodesh of the Kodesh of Ezras Koyanim, and I went out of the Nicanor gate, and I'm Ezras Noshim, I'm already Chayv B'Yoytze. Let's even have went to Harabait. I went to Harabait and took it to Harabait, right outside the walls. I'm already Chayv of Yoitze, even though it's not yet in Rishus Harabim. Harabait says Carmelis. Let's say not where people walk. Stam, a lonely corner. I'm already Chayv mitzad Yoitze. And yet mitzad Shabbos, a Shabbos lo mechayv adim apik Rishus Harabim. No. If you want to be Chayv mitzad Shabbos and taking it out of Beis Hamikdash, mitzad Shabbos, you have to take it from Rishus Hayochid Beis Hamikdash and place it in a thoroughfare. You know, Rishus Harabim is not just anywhere outside Beis Hamikdash. Rishus Harabim is where people walk, the street, the pavement, the thing. So just two different places. That's why. Over there, the Easter doesn't happen together. These Surim are not coexisting. They have nothing to do with each other. Happens to be you took it from Beis Hamikdash to Rishus Harabim. It's not intrinsically connected at all. Because Be'etzim to do Yoitze is any centimeter outside the inner walls of the Ezras Yisrael or Ezras Koyanim, and Mitzad Shabbos is to go all the way out to the street of the old city or to the street in Harabais. Two different places, two different distances. That's why they're not connected. But hocha, over here, Shabbos v'tuma ba'da adadika asyan. Here, Shabbos and Tuma, they come together, right? Why? Because in the story that I portrayed, it happens together. Where is the Akira? I was oiker, half a truma from Rishus Harabim, and I threw it, boom. And the Hanocha happened right next to the other piece of Tuma Tmeah, became Toma together. In the very same second of Rishus HaYochid of Shabbos is also Rishus HaYochid of Tuma, of the house full of Tumas Mace. They happen together, and it's intrinsically connected. This is the house which is Rishus HaYochid for Shabbos, and that's the house which is also Rishus HaMace, Rishus HaTuma. They happen together, and therefore, in such a case, there's still a question. We don't ever, therefore, don't try to resolve it from there, because there it's much different places. Before you reach Rishus Harabim, you're already chayiv in an earlier place, the wilderness of Harabais, the Carmelis, a corner in Harabais, where grass is growing, no people go there, and mitzad the Rishus Harabim of Shabbos, you have to take the Lechem Apanim all the way to Rishus Harabim, two different places. That's why we said that they're not connected, or there. Here, it remains a question. We don't know. We didn't resolve the question. We didn't resolve the question from the case of the Lechem Apanim. Frag the Gemara, the Gemara is quoting, we spoke in the Mishnah, we're now in the two dots before the following Mishnah. What did we say? Let's say the person has his special preferences. He likes that one grain, that one seed for health, medicine, for sewing, for doing things, for coloring, for whatever. He stores it in his house. And then he took it out in order to do whatever, let's say to plant it in the ground. He decided, no, mapitom, stupid, to sow one seed in the ground, not worth it. All garden thing. I'm going back. So what did we say? Originally, when he took it out, he would be chayev. If he does hanocha, he'd be chayev, even on one garin, one seed. Because for him, it's choshuv. Individually, he makes it choshuv, right? Mashenkin, when he regretted, and he took it back to the house, if he takes it once again, it's not choshuv anymore, because he annulled it in his mind. He finished with the first mindset. He said, nah, I'm not going to now take it and sew it or use it for medicine. It's witch doctors, and I just take it back home and finished. Therefore, from now on, it's regular seed. And how many seed is Chayev? 2 or 5, like any other person. He lost a special status. Fragt the Gemara one simple question. Pshita, what's a Chiddush? Of course. Once you annulled your first machshava, I don't know if he has to say it or think it. I didn't see the halacha, but it's clear that he's out. He's out of the first mindset. He's not machshavit anymore. Nah, I'm not going to sow it. I'm going back home. I'm not going to plant it. I'm not going to heal with it. Not going to smear it on my face. Whatever he's going to do with it. Nah, of course he's not choshev anymore. Of course for him that's just another seed, and one seed is not choshev. What's a chiddush? Amar Abaye. Och b'mayaskinan kigon shezol koi la'oitza u'mekoi moinika. His regretting is not simple at all, which means when he went back home, as I said, I don't know, did he say it? Did he think it? Abai is helping us. The story is as follows. He came back home and he threw it in the oitzel. The oitzel is like a box full of balagan, of all kinds of, bits and pieces, all kinds of odds and ends. I'm sure nobody has it in their houses, yeah, but I do. Yeah, the kids at that box at Erev Pesach, you're going to be Mesader, right? And your wife is very patient. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So now, Zalkal Oitzo, you threw it to the Oitzo. So Lechoiro, if you threw it to the Oitzo, he's just there together with old light bulb and the thing to recycle. It's there. So you mefato. You don't care about it. But it's in the Balagan place, but it's a little bit set apart from it and from all the other things. More borderline. The place of that seed is a little bit separate, is a little bit, standing out, sticking out from everything else. Borderline. Ma'odetema, one would say, because the place is still a little bit significantly separate from the rest of the balagan, maybe he threw it and he put it a little bit to the side to still have his special feelings towards that seed, toward that zera, to say, I may really replant it. So maybe if he takes it again, he'll be chayev. Kamash malan betuli batle. Since you threw it to the oitzo, even if it's still sticking out, but the fact you threw it to the oitzo to the rest of the balagan, I don't know if he had kavona to put it apart or he didn't, or that I'm not sure. But Lamaisa, the fact you threw it to the oitzo, I would dare to say, even if it is a little bit sticking apart on purpose, it's not really called that you're still machshevit. If you're still machshevit as refuah, zriya, you don't throw it to the rest of the garbage. Yeah? In that funny box with bits and pieces, you don't have your passport. You don't have your, envelope with $1,000, right? Those you don't keep there, right? Even set apart. Because it's more or less together with the balagan, it's already considered that you annulled your first machshava, and now that one zera is just like any other zera, and therefore there, you're not chayv if you took that one out, only if you took 2 or 5 together. Baruch Hashem. Zog Deilig Mishnah. More, it's all fascinating, delicious things here. Amoitzi oichlin v'nestonon alei skupa. Let's remind ourselves from daf, all the way to daf ches. What's iskupa? Iskupa is the thing called in English threshold. It's a step in front of the house. Some steps in front of the house are very low. They're 1 or 2, less than 3 tvachim from the ground, and they have a status of, even if they're outside of Shus Harabim, it's part of Shus Harabim. Some of them are big and fancy. They're big houses, like in America, right? I remember a house of a Gvir in Canada. It's like you have to step to get to him. You need like I think 50 Shari Kedusha, like a lot of steps to get to the house. The skipper in front of his house was a Shus Yochid Plus. It was its own bulldozer. So let's say you have all kinds of sizes of iskupa, which is like, imagine yourself a square stone piece, yeah, in front of a house. That's all. And it could come in all kinds of heights and sizes. And sometimes this iskupa can be Ushus Yochid, if it's 10 by 4. If it's not inside the house, it's outside. But it's so tall and wide, it's 10 tfachim by 4 tfachim. Right. Let's say it is 9 tfachim. It's a very important introduction. Let's say it's 4 by 4 by 9 tfachim, 9. And people, when they schlep, they adjust their burden on it when they walk down the street. Gemara says in Daf Ches, it's Shus Harabim. Remember, a Shus Harabim is anything in the derech that is used by the rabbim. So if as you walk along, you go to the rich person's house, which is like on Rosh Hashanah, and you adjust your backpack on the 9 tefachim height, because that's the right height, it's Rosh Hashanah, part of Rosh Hashanah. Sometimes it's Carmelis. What about if it's from 3 tefachim to 9 tefachim and 4 by 4? Carmelis. It's not 10 tefachim high, so it's not Rosh Hashanah. It's not 3 tefachim low, close to the ground, so it's not Lovut Rosh Hashanah. Anywhere in between. What's something not Rosh Hashanah, not Rosh Hashanah, but it has 4 by 4, so it's not Mokum Ptur. No, Karmelis is the default. There's no place but Yochid Rabim, Karmelis, or Ptur. So Bekitzer, this is Kupa, even if you didn't get all the details, which are refreshing your memory, yeah, a skupa in front of a house could be Yochid, Rabim, or Carmelis, or Mokum Ptur. Let's say lesson 4 before Mokum Ptur. That's all you have to know. That is skupa can be versatile, depends on the size. Yeah, depends how rich the guy is. Depends on the size. It could Yochid, Rabim, or Carmelis. With that in mind, the Mishnah is going to be so easy. Zog the Mishnah. From that inside of that nice house, you took out food, and you placed the food on that doorstep, on that square stone in front of your house. Yeah? On Shabbos. Afterwards, it is 2 steps process. You took it from the skupa, akira, and you put it in Rosh Hashanah. Ben shotzian acher, whether he did it or other people did it, potu. Your potur, I'll make it easy for you. I'll have Rachmanus on you. Very simple. That middle place, the skupa, is a karmelis. Hey, life is good. He took from Yochid to karmelis, also, but potur. Karmelis is mokum too. Then, done, finished. I was only over the Rabbanon. Now, from karmelis, another guy or me, we took it out from karmelis, which is in between area, to the street. I just took from karmelis to Shus Harabim. Again, when am I chayev? Only when I have direct flight from Yochi to Rabin. But if it landed in a stopover called Karmelis, I'm patur. It's not even a chiddush. The Gemara will claim what the chiddush. Yeah, it's clear, obviously. They're just reminding you what you already know from the first parak. By the way, next parak is also about these things. So now, very nice. That's Ad Kan Reisha. Second case. Kupa shehi meleo peiros. A kupa full of fruit. This is very important to know. I'm giving you the luxury of imagining all types of fruit. We're talking about kupa, a box. Imagine yourself, start imagining, you have a long box, and inside you have all types of fruit or vegetables, okay? The Gemara will discuss big time what kind of vegetables or fruit. There's fruit in a box. Like the guy leaves you in the delivery boy. V'nesana liskupa hachitzoino. What's chitzoino? Reshus harabim. I took the box of fruit from my house in Rosh Hashanah and I placed it on the outdoor iskupa, which is Rosh Hashanah. That's not a question now. Let's say I'm choosing now one of the pshatim. Let's say the box is full of apples, right? I placed the box full of apples, okay? Yeah. This is the box. Sorry, tissues. This is a box, right? It's full of apples, apples, apples. Now, part of the box is inside Reshus Yochid and part in Reshus Harabim. Well, some of the apples, if you look individually only the apples, they are fully absorbed in Reshus Harabim. But if you look at the entire box, part of the box as an entity is still stuck in Reshus Yochid. What do we do? Because if something is partially in Reshus Yochid, I'm not Chai V'Yitzor. I'm only Chai V'Yitzor if the entire thing is outside in Reshus Harabim. The Chiddush is this is partially Yochid, partially Rabim. But if you look only at the fruit, there are, let's say, 12 apples here, 10 of them are absorbed in Reshus Harabim. But their box that they're in is partially in Reshus Yochid. That's a big story in the Gemara. Says the Mishnah, Afal pi sheroiv peros mi bachutz, although majority of the fruit are outside, his potu is called a kupa. Until you have the entire box outside, boom, full and shusabim, your potu. You look at the entire box, and as long as the entire box is not outside, you're not chayiv. Even though some of the fruit are outside. This is I choose one of the pshatim the Gemara just to let the Mishnah flow. But this is one workable pshat. Zog the Gemara. Correct the Gemara about the Reisha. What was the Reisha? The case of the stopover. Yochid, Carmelis, Rabim. I'm sorry I spoiled it for you. because the Gemara will now come to it by itself. Frag the Gemara. Hi, iskupa mai. What kind of iskupa are we talking about? Ilem iskupas reshus harabim. Let's say the iskupas reshus harabim, right? How could it be reshus harabim? We said it's 9 tfochim high, and people are using it as part of the mahalach in reshus harabim. Potu? Why you potu? If you took from your house yochid to iskupas reshus harabim, you potter? Is that true? How could that be? You took out from yochid to rabim. Who cares? You call it iskupa. As far as you can call it UFO. Mazam shaneh. It's reshus harabim. Ela must be iskupa reshus hayochid. Yes. What's reshus hayochid? The iskupa is like the place in Canada. It's 10 tfochim high, right? 4 by 4. It's in the, so what is in the street? It's his own entity. So what are you telling me? It's reshus hayochid? Doesn't make sense. Because the next part of the Mishnah told us, Ben shechozar boitzian, ben shoitzian acher potu. If you took from that iskupa into reshus harabim, you're potu. Excuse me. How can you say that? If this iskupa is yochid, and you or your friend took it from yochid to reshus harabim, you're potu? Reform Judaism. What's going on here? Ella must be, as I told you, iskupa karmelis. Very nice. Nice. Iskupa is karmelis. The middle of the road is Carmelis and Potu. Rabim Carmelis and Potu. Carmelis or no Carmelis is a Dorbanan invention. There's no such thing as Carmelis in the Torah. Carmelis in the Torah is what? Welcome to. Rabbanan made it Carmelis. The Gemara is not asking. There's a hidden question here. What's a Chiddush? You guys all learned, right? The first part. We know. It's not Chiddush, right? Yochid Carmelis and Potu. So what's a Chiddush? Kamash Malan, there's a Chiddush. Time at denach bekarmelis. The only reason you potter is because there was a hanocha in karmelis. There was a real stopover. The item was rested, nach, placed in the karmelis, and therefore there was a real full 100% stoppage in between. Done. Now starts a new action from karmelis to rabim. You're potter. The chiddush is in the diuk, not in the words, like many times in the Gemara. Ha lo inach bekarmelis. Let's say the same halach would be. The rich guy would walk from his house through the skupa, which is Carmelis, and continue walking with the item from Reshus HaYochid via through the Carmelis skupa, continue walking to Reshus HaRabim and place in Reshus HaRabim, Mechayev. Then he's Chayev because he didn't stop in the Carmelis. He only walked through the Carmelis. And that is a Chiddush. Why is that a Chiddush? Masnisin the Loki Ben Azai. The Mishnah is not like Ben Azai. Meaning, what did Ben Azai? This is all good memories from Perek Rishon. The Tanya, it says in Perek Rishon, Hamoitzi michanus leplatya derech stav. A person who took out from Chanut, it is marketplace. Imagine yourself marketplace. Yeah, in Costa Rica, marketplace, yeah. There's a Chanut to the platya, to the plaza, to the Reshus HaRabim, through the stav. Stav is where the soichrim, where the merchants, they sit. They don't like it when you walk there. It's not a place where it's supposed to be walked through. It's a karmelis. Zokt tanekama chayev. If I took an item from a shop through karmelis, but I kept walking, and I rested it in Reshus HaRabim, I'm chayev. Of course, says Ben Azai, it's not of course. Ben Azai poiter. Ben Azai say no. Ben Azai has his own special chiddush. Ben Azai has a chiddush. Remember, mehalech keoimed. Ben Azai has a tremendous chiddush. Kama kul muslim nishtabru. We did Perek Rishon Be'iyun. All the Rishonim, Achronim, till the Stipler and beyond. What does it mean? Don't ask me. There's so much material just to remember. The kids there, Ben Azai is mechadish, that when you walk, every step of the way is like hanocha. Even if you walk as fast as, I don't know, a guy from the Olympics, you walk very fast, as long as 1 of 2 feet touches the ground, that's as if it's hanocha, even for 1 second. And therefore, if I'm walking with the item in my hand from Yochid via Carmelis to Rabim, since my foot stepped in the Carmelis once, twice, 3 times, even once, it's as if I rested it in the Carmelis. Unbelievable. According to Ben Azai, when are you chayev? Either when you have a direct border Yochid Rabim, or if you jumped, or if you threw it, you're chayev. But if you walk from Yochid to Rabim, or vice versa, via Carmelis, you're potter, because walking as if you stopped in the middle. It's a tremendous chiddush. Only Ben Azai can say it. Comes the Mishnah and says, don't look at me and say, what's a Chiddush? The Chiddush from the Mishnah is what? We don't paskin like this Shammai. That's Chiddush. Like Ben Azai. Like, we also don't paskin like this Shammai, by the way. We don't paskin like Ben Azai. The Seder, Baruch Hashem, such amazing group we have over here. Kupa Shehi Meleya. Oh, here comes big stories. It's really not hard. Elamai, we have to now imagine, what did I tell you before? Yeah. You have a box. My hand is the border, Yochid and Rabim. There's lots and lots of small fruit, right? So all the fruit over here on Rishus Rabim. This is Rishus Yochid, but the box is partially in Rishus Yochid. But what about if this box is full of cucumbers, long cucumbers? Yeah. And when I left the box hanging in the middle, 80% here, 20% here, none of the fruit itself or the vegetables are outside. Or green onions, scallions, yeah? That zicher kol sheken that I'm potter. Not only the boxes inside, even the fruit themselves of the vegetables, each and every one of them is still stuck partially inside. And then, of course, I'm potter. The question is, what did the Mishnah speak about? Did the Mishnah speak about long vegetables? That the vegetables themselves are not absorbed in the Rishus Harabim? Or did the Mishnah speak about, whenever, by the way, the Mishnah wants to talk about very, very small grains, it always uses the same example, also in Tum and Tyre, also in second Perek Bava Basra, Hardal. The mustard, the American mustard, yeah, the one you squeeze, originally, it came from little, I know, it came from little seeds. And those seeds are always an example in the Gemara for the smallest seeds alive. Yeah? Interesting. With that introduction, let's see what the Gemara says, nice and slow, as much as we have time. Omar Chizkiah. Shanu. This is only true that if the guy left the box half in, half out, and is botul, which means if the box is full of cucumbers, long cucumbers, and each and every cucumbers of itself is still partially stuck inside, you're potter, because not even one item is fully located outside. That's why you're potter. Yes, against what I said when I explained the Mishnah, and I'm aware of it. If you have a chardal, which means, let's say the box is full of small seeds. Thank you very much. 20% of the box is what is inside. Who cares? When you have a lot of chardals, and if you focus on them, those chardals are outside in the Rishus Harabim, they are outside. You're chayav. You hide when those little chardals are outside, because I don't care about the fact that some of the box is inside. I care about each fruit individually, and I don't care about the general location of the box. Alma, let it say it in the Lomdish words of the Gemara. Kasova, Chizkiah believes, Eged kli loshme eged. What does eged mean, besides the buses? Eged means connection. The fact that the box is connecting all the chardals together, those inside and those outside is irrelevant. I don't care that all the chardalim are one big happy family, all contained in the same box. I don't care. And the box is still inside, so it's they're all inside. No. Since those chardalim are outside, I look at them individually. Those 80% of chardalim are outside, you chayiv on them. The fact that the box is partially inside, shtuyat, I don't care. Says Chizkiah. Remember, Chizkiah, chardal, chayiv. Ches, ches, ches. Good way to remember it. Chizkiah, chardal, chayiv. Okay, eged kli, loshme eged. The fact that the kli is uniting them, that's not called a uniting factor. I don't care. The Rabbi Yochanan says, afilu melech chardal potu, like I told you. Get that? The box is full of chardal. The box is full of in the tiniest seeds. And therefore, since you have some of the chardal outside, and those chardalim are outside completely, if you just look at them, but you're still potter. Why potter? They're completely outside. They're in the same box, in the same boat, with their friends who are inside, indoors, in the same box. The fact that the eged, the kli, is uniting both chardalim outside and inside, it gives them the same stempel, the same unity, the same status. And since some of them are inside, it's all of them are inside. Because the box as a whole, as a party, as a uniting factor, an umbrella, is not fully outside. It's still partially inside. So I don't look egoistically at just those chardals outside. I look at the whole box together, and I'm potter, like I told you. That's Rabbi Yochanan. And by the way, I think Allah is like Rabbi Yochanan, if I'm not mistaken. Amar Abzera, Now, observe. I'm sorry, we only have 2 more minutes. Now it'll also be easier for you to continue on your own. But let's just see as much as we can. Observe. Observe now is an issue from the Mishnah. He says like this: Masnisin. If you carefully read the Mishnah, oy 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 oy. The Loike Chizkiya daika, v'dok Rabbi Yochanan daika. The Mishnah is not meduyak, neither like Chizkiya nor like Rabbi Yochanan. If you read the Mishnah carefully and medayik the Mishnah, you'll see the Mishnah has an both Rabbi Yochanan and Chizkiya that have issues from the Mishnah. Let's see. Chizkiya lo daika. Why is the Mishnah not so good with Chizkiya? The Ketani achiotzes kol kupa. What does it say? Unless he took out the entire box, right? Then you're still potu. Time of the kol kupa. You have to take the entire box and then you're chayiv. If you took the whole kupa, then you're chayiv. Hakol peos potu. Mashma. Let's say some of the box inside, although all the fruit are outside, it doesn't mean all the fruit. It means to say even some of the fruit in their whole entity, in the entirety, they're outside and potu. If let's say 80% of chadalim, I look at them only, the outside, I'm still potu. You need the whole box outside, not fruit that are outside, the whole box outside. Ugh, that's bad with chizkiya. Sounds like the Mishnah wants the entire kli to be outside, whatever it may cost, because I want everything to be outside, because all chadalim are united we stand by one box, right? So otherwise, you are potur. So that's not good with chizkiya. Bad news. The Mishnah is not good with Rabbi Yochanan either. What's going on here? Why? The Ketani afal pi sheroiv. Did you hear that? Roiv bears b'chutz. What's roiv in Hebrew? Please tell me. What's roiv? Majority. The majority. You heard that? Majority. Time of the roiv peres, right? If the majority of the fruit are outside, it's not good enough. A kol peres. Mashma, that if all the fruit are outside, doesn't mean all. If some of the fruit are entirely outside, chardal, then it's good. Then it's fine. Then I'm happy. Yeah? Even though the kupa is still connected to the inside, you're still chayiv. You need roiv, bad. Mashma from the Mishnah that if part in, part outside, we don't care. If you have not roiv of the cucumbers, but all of the chadal, of the 80% of the chadal outside, I'm chayiv. So the Mishnah is difficult by itself. Leave the Amoraim alone. The Mishnah is problematic between itself. It's called, you know, it's called in the Yeshivish language, stira b'diyukim. The Mishnah is not soiser, but the diyukim of the Mishnah, it's like falling between the cracks. The middle case of roiv is always hinted to be one way or the other in a contradictory way, right? Yeah. So now, ve'ela kasha. So the Mishnah is difficult. What does the Mishnah side with? Answers the Gemara. Chizke metatz l'taime, Rabbi Yochanan metatz l'taime. Both Chizke and Rabbi Yochanan, they both read the Mishnah. They can both reread and edit the Mishnah, each one by his own logic. Chizke metatz l'taime. Chizke is metatz with his own reasoning. How does he read the Mishnah? This is Chizke's reading of the Mishnah. Achia says, call a kupa. You know we needed to take out the whole kupa? I told you, of course. Of course you have to the entire kupa outside. You know what that is? When the long vegetables, the cucumbers, the scallions, they fill the entire space. Then you need the whole kupa outside, because it's not the kupa I care about. I care about the vegetables. And until one tiny hair of zucchini is still out inside, I'm potter. Kupa represents the fruit that have to be outside, says Chizkiya. If the box is full of chardal and you took out 50%, 30%, as long as some chardalim are outside fully, even some of them, you chayev as if you took out the whole kupa. I don't care about the kupa, says Chizkiya. Chardal chayev Chizkiya. If the small ones are outside, you chayiv. Rabbi Yochanan answers it by his own reasoning. Even though the majority of the fruit are outside, roiv is lav dafka. Roiv means all of the pears are outside, you're still potter. Which means even if, doesn't mean all the fruit, even if some of the fruit are entirely kulo outside, such as the chardal, you're potter, because kupa does connect them all, says Rabbi Yochanan, and as long as the whole kupa is not outside, you're potter. That's a good place to stop. Meisivi is a new thing. See you on Sunday. Bezos Hashem. Atzlacho v'rocho. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Torah Anytime. You all come here. It's amazing. Welcome back, Luis. So good to see you. Mamash, a big simcha whenever you come. You should